Hi folks, John from Designed Elegance Pastry Shop here. How you folks doing? Hope you're well. I'm doing good. So for tonight's lesson we are going to make thumbprint cookies. Now I gotta tell you, this is kind of where it all began for me. My one grandmother was a farmer's wife who liked to make pies and cookies and basically gave me my love for baking. My other grandmother was a teacher and she took the Wilton course and she liked to do all the fancy character cakes and all that. Gave me a love for cake decorating. I've been in awe of both my whole life. That's pretty much why I do what I do. So anyway, I want to show you how my grandmother taught me to make thumbprint cookies, and we are going to start with a full pound of butter right here in the bowl. So I have everything all prepped. We'll start with our 4 sticks. And actually I'm going to just put 2 sticks in first. And I'll tell you why in just a moment here. Okay, so I want to get all the butter, okay? Okay, so I'm going to start with 2 of the 4 sticks of butter in the bowl. Put it on the mixer here. We're going to use the paddle, okay? Now, we want to use 1 full cup plus 1/4 of a cup of packed brown sugar. Basically what we're looking for is about 10 ounces. Okay, now I prefer to use dark brown sugar myself. I think it's a bit more richer. It's got the more mapley flavor. And if you're using brown sugar in the first place, then that's what you're looking for. So that's why I use the dark brown myself. But you can use either. You can use light brown sugar if you want. Okay, so I packed as much as I could in there. We have 1 cup plus 1/4 of a cup, about 10 ounces, like I said. Okay, so I'm going to start the mixer now. Mix it on slow. Now the reason I only have half the butter in is because I want to make sure that all of the sugar is incorporated into the butter. And basically, if there are any chunks of the brown sugar in the mix, then with less butter, it's going to grind those chunks smooth. Okay, so once I have a smooth mix here, then I will just simply add my other 2 sticks and they'll mix right in. So what I'm doing is I'm saving a lot of work, really. So, okay, so now as you can see, it's all nice and smooth. I'll show you the bowl here. See, here we look. Okay, now it's not even necessary to scrape the bowl at this point because, like I said, we're just adding more butter to the mix. And we have our brown sugar already mixed into the half of the butter that we have. So let's just go ahead and add our other 2 real quick. There's 1. Oops, and 2. Okay. Low speed, you don't need to mix it too fast there. Okay, let's get the rest of this butter here. Notice the butter is at room temperature. It's good and soft. Okay, if you're starting with firm butter out of the fridge, it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of time, and you're probably going to have chunks of butter because it's really difficult to mix it all in smooth. So I would highly recommend that you start with softened butter. Okay? Anyway, okay, so now that was, look at that, it's already mixed in. It takes no time at all. So now what I'm going to do is at this point I'm going to scrape down to the bottom of the bowl. Make sure that yeah. Making sure that all of the surface of the bowl, especially in the very bottom, is pulled away from the bowl. Okay. Now we're going to give it just one more quick mix. Okay, now we're going to need 4 egg yolks. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, I've said before how I like to do my eggs into a separate container. I'm going to separate, okay, the whites from the yolks. Okay, now the white goes in here, the yolk goes in here. There's one. Now we'll do another one. We're going to take 4. We're going to do nice and gradual. See, because if we just do them one at a time, then basically what I'm doing is I'm letting the mixer do the work of mixing them in. So it's about the timing, so to speak. Okay, I could do it faster, but I want to give the mixer time to mix the yolk in, the previous yolk. Okay, now these eggs aren't totally very cold either. I pulled them out of the fridge about a half an hour ago, and when they're a little bit warmer, then they separate a lot easier. Okay, if you pull them out of the fridge and try to separate eggs right away, then sometimes they can be very tight and difficult to separate. Okay, and there we go. Okay, so there's our 4 egg yolks, excuse me. Okay, now I'm going to scrape again, all the way down to the bottom. Now, as you can see, the batter looks a little different now. It's got that shiny look. That's because of the egg. What we're looking for is for everything to be incorporated nice and even. See this sugar spot I got right here? Okay, that's just butter and sugar, no egg mixed into it. So we got to make sure that that gets down into the bottom. So I'm just going to scrape that on the paddle like so. Okay? At this point, it's the top of the paddle that's probably going to be the part that you need to scrape the most. Okay? So here we go. I'm making sure that the top of the paddle is fairly clean. We'll put it down in. And boom. Now look how fluffy that is. See the difference? Now that the egg is in there, the egg fluffs it right up. Okay? So we can just let this keep mixing. Now if you'd be so kind as to... Alright. Okay. Forgot to get the vanilla. Sorry about that. Okay, so my usual half a cap full of vanilla. This is homemade vanilla, by the way. A good friend of mine made it herself. Gave it to me as a gift, and it's so delicious that I share it with my customers. So here we are, using Anita's vanilla. Okay, so I got the vanilla in. Now, notice I put the vanilla in before I put flour in, okay? Now, also, another thing about this recipe is that there is no baking soda or baking powder, okay? There's no leavening agents except for the eggs themselves. So now we're going to turn this off, lift this up. Okay, now we need exactly 4 cups of flour. Okay, so we'll get our little 1 cup measure here, cut the top off. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so now, even though we're going to mix all this flour in, the dough is still going to be fairly soft. And the reason is because the butter was so soft when I started. But this is a good thing because it's going to end up having, the mix itself is going to be a very delicate cookie in the end, okay? They're not going to be tough at all. They're going to be very light and pull apart and just moist and delicious. That's what we're looking for. So now I'm I just put all this flour in. I do not want it to puff my face, so I'm just going to gently jog the mixer, like so. And now I'm going to just let it be on high or on low, very first gear. Okay. Notice it's starting to mix in. Okay. Starting to get chunky. Now you hear the mixer starting to strain. This is what we're looking for. Okay. Now let's stop it. Whoop. Get that back in there. Okay. So now we'll go down to the bottom again with the scrape. Okay. Very important. Now is the most important part, that you scrape the bottom down to the bottom. Basically, it's when the flour gets incorporated into the dough that will make either tough spots or light spots. So you want to make sure that it's all incorporated in. Okay, see, that's crumbly there because it's more flour than the fat and sugar mixture and egg, which is down at the bottom. Okay, let's do this again. Give it a little more gear here, and here you go. One ball, one big ball. Okay, right here. So what I like to do is leave the paddle on there. What I'm going to do is just drop this down like so. Okay. Now I'm going to use my finger to get the last of it.
Because obviously baking at the higher temperature, anything would get killed, right?
Oh yeah, well anything that's going to be baked is fine. But I also wash my hands 500 million times too, between every step basically. Okay, so we're done with that.